Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Oh, my goodness. So, yesterday we had a abrupt cancellation of the show, which was not a problem, but we are going ahead and doing this show today instead. There we go. I feel like the camera is lower now, or maybe I'm higher. Maybe I'm higher. Maybe I'm just higher. There we go. Today's show is brought to you by the artist Charles Cooley, who says an artist cannot fail. It is a success simply to be one. So I think that's actually kind of cool, an idea that we're a success just being an artist. So we've got our normal warm-ups over on the Mayline. So I'm going to head over to the Mayline now, and we're going to start working on those warm-ups. So let's go over to the Mayline. The microphone over here. Ow, it shocked me. All right. Hey, George. George wants scritches, as all good cats do. George likes the idea of scritches. I think that's great. Okay. George just stole my chair. Also a thing that happens with George. Okay, but here's the deal, Bug. I need that chair sometime at some point, so just don't get out too comfortable there. All right, using my L square. Looking at the page here. Yeah, he decided to move on. Good old George. Use my L square, make myself a couple of lines going this way, going this way. If for those of you at home, these lines don't have to be exactly this way. They just are because I've got an L square. And so why not, right? And that's my thought. You can see the short end of the L square isn't going to make it all the way to the page, so I'll use the long end of the L square going this way. I'm noticing I've got a little bit of a bow to my L square. It's a pretty hefty piece of metal to begin with. And that's all right, but it's bent a little here. That's kind of annoying. Do like my L square, though. It's a very good L square. Do a couple of lines going this way, like this, the length of the paper. And I like to actually use the ruler for this and actually hand draw this. I mean, I've thought about doing, like a version of this that is, pre-done for me so that I can just print them out and do them every day. But for right now, and though that might be fine in the future and everything like that, and I might actually make one of these for people online, but for right now, I actually kind of enjoy the creation process of making these because I get a slightly different critter each time, right? I mean, each one of these is not the same as the one before, right? I do like those French curves. They're kind of wild. They go all over the place. You never know what you're going to get out of a French curve. Right? It's like a golf course. Okay, there we go. Now again, we're going to take right here. This is an 04 fine liner. It's just a normal felt tip fine pen. That's all it is. We're going to... Good morning. Good to see you on the show. Do believe that's Donald. Okay. Loosen up the elbow. Make sure the elbow is not on the table. Make sure the wrist is not on the table. And we'll draw our lines in. 2, 3, and 4. Same here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll do the long run right here. We're just going to, once again, don't touch the table. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you've been with me over the last few weeks, you've noticed, as I have noticed, that I have gotten much, much, much more accurate. 1. I say as I mess up. 2. Don't laugh. 3. And 4. Right? But either way, I mean, I've got a couple of spaces like right there and right here that I'm looking at where my lines are getting really tight. And this guy here, I mean, it's got a convergence right there. It's beautiful. Right there. It's great. Okay. Nope. Yep. Better. Okay. Now we're going to do these guys. Not as beautiful, but certainly not bad. There we go. Okay. So today is the 7th. And there we go. We're gonna keep this guy for a while and take a look at over time how well we've gotten on our show. Let's head back from the main line. Bring us back over here. All right. Huh. That's weird. So the show won't let you log in unless you go to Facebook, then click on the log, huh? I wonder if that's, I don't know what's going on there. That's a strange thing, my friend. That is a very strange thing. I did notice that Facebook has introduced Facebook for Business, and now I can, from my G.S.Davis Art page, I can post things to their and my Instagram account, which that's really wild. I mean, for one, so maybe it has something to do with G.S.Davis Art. I don't know, or like the new business pages. Wonder what that's all about. That's very strange. Well, I'm sorry that's happening, my friend. Certainly, I have very little idea what's going on that one. I don't know what's happening. But anything that prevents people from coming to my show is not a good thing, so certainly not ecstatic about that. Okay, so let me go on ahead and put the monitor on. So we are working today on this. Of course, it's been a couple of days. So I'm going to take the blue cloth. I want to wipe the monitor down, get all the dust off of it. My monitor sits at an angle, of course, obviously it's a drawing monitor, so it sits at an angle which allows me to draw on it, but it gains an awful lot of dirt. It's hard for you to see, but it just sits there and just it's just like any normal monitor, except that it's at an angle, so it sits like at this angle. So the dust just likes to rain down on it. It's so. If I don't get in, click. I mean, I don't have anything against wrestling, but it's just not my cup of tea. So wrestling is weird. That's a weird thing. Not sure what to think about that. All right, we're going to be working on today. It's so weird that it's going to wrestling. Like I said, got nothing against wrestling. We're working on, for just a little bit, a ship design that I'm going to be putting together, which I think will be interesting. But I need to do some work on this. This is a column that was in here that I've got going on. And I need to make it a coil. So we're going to work around here until we get a coil going. Because it's the nature of this ship is that it is a coil. So we're going to follow one line all the way down here as we go down the coils. So, and this shouldn't be the inside outside, and this should be the outside outside. So this should be this guy here going like this. There we go. So we can already see that there's nothing wrong with that though. And I think that's a pretty accurate and apt description of wrestling. But it implies very strongly you're not a wrestling fan, which is also okay. So we've just got just enough of an implication here. I have a couple of buddies who are big wrestling fans. They know it's not real, and that's fine. Television's not real, and this comic's not real. I mean, nothing that we do is technically real, so I've got no issue with that. The fourth Star Trek movie, because that's, in theory, it's very hard because giant freaking robot and ain't it bloody cool or whatever those are, they're not very good news sources. So it's hard for me to tell when people talk about Star Trek movies as to whether the next one's up or not. And, as someone who does kind of do news, it does kind of bother me. Or I worry, I guess, a little bit about that. I love Star Trek movies, though. They are a different breed, though. And I actually read an article somebody had done, I think it was on r/Daystrom, which is a subreddit, where they were talking about why the movies are a different critter than the television series, and a lot of it has to do with the difference between blockbuster audiences and the audiences for television. Audiences for television are much calmer and don't need to they don't need to hit the qualities of a blockbuster audience. So when you have the movies, they've got to be much more pew pew and shoot 'em up and things like that, because you are trying to align it to an audience that is expecting action adventure and things like that. And so that's one of the reasons why the movies are always shoot 'em ups and things like that. But The TV show is clearly not. And the Trekkies make complaints about that, and I get that. They find that to be somewhat offensive that Kirk and Spock and McCoy have to beat up everybody, a big fist fight. Um, and I follow that. Right? I mean, I get it. But it is still kind of. Let this coil in down here. It's not going the right way. This needs to go the other direction. The reason why we're blue lining this in is because I didn't have anything that was coil-like, and I needed a coil for this ship because I feel like the design would be fascinating if it was coiled. Like its construction design was in a coil. Sounds like a thing, my friend. So, I noticed that Brent has moved to his new time period. So, Brent, I know you're probably watching me later on, and just know that we're still thinking of you. And I hope your new time slot is working out well, because that's kind of cool. So. There we go. Oh yeah, Jonathan Frakes could direct anything. I think he's doing great on that. So I could enjoy that. Jonathan Frakes has sort of become the Star Trek du jour director because he's really good at the lore. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to get into the characters and things like that. So, love having Jonathan Frakes involved. All right. Big pusher dome on the front. Ominous pusher dome. Some kind of intake right through here. And taking things in. Like so. There we go. So I feel like that's the beginning of this. There's also another construct on the top up here. Give it some gritty goodness kind of going on, and ooh yeah. Okay. So we'll go on ahead now and I'll turn this guy off and then we'll start a new layer up here. I'm going to go on ahead and just ink this on in because this is not designed to be the world's. This is a just there we go. And a huge intake scoop for moving along there. Right, the entire shape of the ship just starts to show up here as we start to outline it. And then we'll come in here and make this tower. A lot of this is going to be inverted here in a second. We're actually going to invert the whole thing. So here we go. And we got to do a couple little repairs like this guy right here. Just went a little too coily. A little too So, there we go. That's looking a lot better. Let's get this weird towery thing on the top up. And this one, I'm just going to use the straight line tool, which is very, very small all of a sudden. Let's not do that. There we go. Just adding widgets to this tower. There we go, like that. And now when we take that out, we've got this massive ship with this huge array of things going on with it. Now we're going to do some magic. Beware of the magic. So we're going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to fill that in. Fill that in. And I think that's all we want to do at the moment for filling in. Then we're going to take and we're going to select its outline. Work. Control Shift I. We're going to go underneath it here, add a new layer. We're going to fill this with white. Whoa, I lost my mouse. There we are. I'm going to fill this with white. And all that's going to do is ensure that the underside of this is white. But then we've got to go through, and since this is a coil, we're going to have to do all of the little like loop-de-loops in here, right? So we'll deselect and do U, 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 and U. And there's one little coil there, which I could probably catch. There we go. I'm going to make sure that there's a hole there for those. Right? So if we were to turn this off and turn this off, we can see that we have all coils. All the coils have been caught in this. Then we're going to merge this down. And we're going to invert it. Once I figure out where that is, tonal correction. And then, can we invert? How do we invert here? Because we need to invert it. I feel like it should be under tonal correction, but I'll bet you it's not. Effect, distort, correct line. Wow, there's some good stuff over here. I could spend forever looking for it, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, go here. I'll bring up my portable computer here and say, Google, Mr. Google. Because the truth is, it's always easier to do this. Invert, no, clip, Studio Paint. Now, hopefully, reverse gradient. That's it. So, edit, tonal correction, reverse gradient. There you go. Mr. Google is beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to find sort of a green off tone that we want for this. And we're going to do that. I don't know if I want the outline to be green, but I do like the inside here core being green. That's kind of cool. So we're going to pick a kind of an evil green for it, right? And the big reason we want to do this is turning the paper back on. If we turn this paper on, we're going to put stars back here on the paper. No, we're not apparently going to do that. New raster layer, there we go. So, since it's going to be a spaceship in the blackness of space, we want to make sure that you can see it, right? So, now we're going to go in here with this green, and we're going to start working on this project here. So we're going to come in here and work on this, right? We went back to black, didn't we? I'm going to come in here, we're just going to undo. We're going to come in here, we're going to do this. We're just making sure that we can seal this in. Okay? Now I can fill right there, and that just fills up that section. Right? We can come in here. There we go. Ominous green. Right? Actually, you know what? The more I think about this, the more I think I want to do a different layer for this. So then I can put in this green, and I'll come back and get these guys in a minute. And then I can make this green glow, right? Because if I've got it like this, then we can probably put some kind of layer glow on here, right? So if we were to get some kind of layer control on this. We've never done any of this stuff, so this is all new. But we'll come back to it in a minute. I'll worry about it later. This is this guy. Right? Right, we'll come along here and all we're doing here is just adding in details to this that are in some kind of green. It's very important that it be kind of a greenish light. We want to imply heavily Romulan design from Star Trek. There we go. There we go. Yeah, it is like a command structure. The ship is huge, so these guys are kind of in right, so we've got kind of this structure on here. These are greenhouses. And they're actually, we're going to put inside those coils, we're going to put flowers and plants and life of some sort. Jupiter rising. That's an interesting idea. Alright, well, some of these lines out here are there we go. There, perfect. So now what we're dealing with here is a huge ram scoop in the front, sort of this coil through the center here. We're actually going to put a lighting unit through the middle. This is all going to be the stuff that glows. I'm going to actually cut back on this in a second using the eraser tool. So I'm going to specifically have a job for this guy here in a minute. Alright. All we're doing here is just defining our basic design. In here. And I go back through here. This coil, this lighting element is going to get smaller, of course, as it goes further back amidships. So we're going to go like this. Like that. This lighting element is still going to be kind of causing some lighting through the center section through here. Just like this. There we go. There. Now, I think this lighting core at one point in time probably had an engine pod at the end, but I think it's ejected that by now because this guy's on coast. So I'm gonna, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of the black and we're gonna trim back some of this guy here. Just like this guy right up here is way too thick. We really only want to imply so we're going to cut back on this. When we imply the light of this coil, like that. Ooh. Very much like this. Nope, nope, nope. We've gone too high. So I'm going to come around here. Undo. And all we're doing here is just giving the implication it has a highlight to it. Well, really having a hard time trimming that down, aren't I? And what I should do is just switch over to white and then just trail along like that. Right? Because that gives just the hint of that outer edge. That just enough of a light that it's sort of, you can kind of see what's going on here. Right? And I don't mind that I've cut a little off the edge there. That's okay. There we go. The inside's going to be a different critter altogether, so I'm not worried about that as much. But this outside here, we really want to right, so the outer hull is pitted. With huge pits that are visible from the outside. So this outer ring is pitted, and we'll come back in and do some more work on that in a bit. I'm just trying to get mostly the feel of what's going on here and remind myself what I'm doing. There we go. And I always say it's the difference of one line can often mean everything. Be extraordinarily careful where we put our lines. There's structure up here, so we can go on ahead and just imply a lot with this line right here, and we're okay. It makes the structure all work very well. Undo. There we go. Now this line might actually have highlight to it, so I'm going to go on ahead and do that and be okay with it. There we go. Alright. And go through and just trim out some of these lines right here. I don't know what they're doing, right? Come back in here, we go into the black. Come back in like this. It's kind of weird using black as your main, or as your background, and white as your highlight, and it is a little uncomfortable. So I tend to start black on white and then invert so that I can straighten it all out in my head. Otherwise, I'm not sure where I'm going with all of this. I don't know where my lines are. I don't know how to get to what I'm after. Stuff like that. In here we're dealing with the background of this. All right. So now we've got kind of this coil and this coil working. Let's get this coil in. There we go. It might travel through nebula on colored glass, or colored gas. I like colored glass. That's kind of funny too. What are you doing? We're traveling on colored glass. Come on, people. Don't you know what colored glass drives are? Oh man, that's funny. There we go. Get all these coils squared away. We're actually doing well here. Kind of in here. There we go. No. No. There we go. Just getting kind of these coils to straighten out a little. No matter what, your initial drawing is always going to be a little strange. Right? I'm actually erasing some of the pits, and that's okay, because I'm probably going to use a splatter paintbrush of some sort to come back and get those in a bit. But I'm intentionally kind of carving this with a little bit of a roughness, because the ship has been out here for a very long time and should be rough. So I'm okay if it doesn't quite all line up. It's been out here for a bit, out in space, kind of being who it is. Okay. Go. Just coming around and just kind of cutting this down so that there we go. That looks more like this. I'll come back here. There we go. There. Now we're talking more of a coil that you can actually see. So this wild looking coiled ship, which I think is really cool. And we're going to come back around. Just make sure we got a couple of the heavy lines down here. Just make sure it's... There we go, just like that. There. Thicken that out a little bit helps. Come back around here with this. So we're going to need to come in here and fix this because this guy is just a mess. But that's okay. We'll come back through. Thank you, Donald. Appreciate it. I think the whole ship rotates. I feel like the whole ship rotates. So this guy rotates to create artificial gravity in the coil. So it's rotating and spinning so that there's gravity, centrifugal gravity on the coil. I think that's what we're going to do there. There we go. We'll come back around on this guy like this. So there we go. That's actually looking pretty kick butt. That bell sucks in things. I want it like hydrogen or something. And we'll get up on this green section up here. And I want to kind of work on a little bit of this because I want this to trail like that. So let's go ahead and put in that green that we've been doing here. I'm going to have this guy just trail to the back like this. Right? And that's what we really want, is more that critter. You whack. There are times where I wish I just had 3 capable pins out there. There we go. So it should trail to the back. Right, exactly. It's got a certain amount of life capability on the inside of this dome. And we'll put a white light out here. Like that. And it's at an angle-ish, which is fine. There we go. Now we're cooking with Mazzola. Here, right? This guy's kind of doing good by itself. I see some black that has spilled off of the outside edge of the ship, and that's okay. We'll fix that in a bit. But now I'm going to take, and I'm feeling pretty good about our green and our green lines and things like that. Now I need to see if I can't do some kind of blending control out here. Like, can I get this layer to do some kind of blending? Because that's what I really want here, is some kind of interesting blending. And what may end up happening is we may put this out on the desktop as a Photoshop document. And we'll call this the coil ship. Right? And then we may actually bring in Photoshop for this. We've had this kind of discussion before about Photoshop being used, but I feel like Photoshop in this case might be more viable for this. So I'm going to take this part here, and with Photoshop I'm going to select this intersection here. This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and go up here. Hit the fill tool. And fill that, right? So that now what we have is just the green on this upper level, right? So when you look at this, this is without the ship, it's just the green. And we're gonna take a blending option on this, which has moved over onto this page. And we're gonna make an outer glow for it. This outer glow we're going to make a green, like a very vibrant, brilliant green. Have it spread quite a bit and make its size bigger, right? And this will make it so that it just glows evilly, right? And that's what we kind of want here is this. You turn down the spread and you raise up the size. There comes a point where it's maximumed, and that's where we are right here. Okay, then we'll take this same thing, and now that we've kind of got it being green, I'm going to raise it up all the way, right, so that it's all the way into this lighter green, a much brighter green like this. And we're going to change the whole critter. Adjustments, brightness and contrast, which has gone all the way over here. We'll raise its brightness until it's brighter than that. Right. And it's very bright now. So now when you look at it, the ship has got these glowing parts. We're probably going to back it off a little because it looks like it's a little dramatic here. And what we really have is probably too many elements that are not supposed to be that bright. So that looks still sinister-ish, but it doesn't look that bad, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is, now that we've got kind of the lighting and things like that that we're trying to deal with, we're going to work on a couple of the other pieces in here as a different layer. So I'm going to take this, and the first thing I really want to do is take our line tool, go up to 100 pixels. We're just going to draw this core, right? Because we want to make sure that this core is actually straight, for one. That'd be useful. We'll go for 20 at this point, and we'll come back through like this. We can already see that the core is kind of not straight on this one, so we're going to have to come back in with this core, which has a different set of properties. So since it's a different lighting property, I'm going to do it differently. And we're going to go here, back to there, and delete. We're going to go to here, and back to here. Delete. The reason why we're doing this is because this core, though cool, is probably not what we're really after, right? So bring up the brush. Let's delete this out. Okay, now we've got this core which is going in. We just need to make sure that it doesn't actually interfere with our drawing.
It's time to take a quick break.
We're going to take a break here in a second, but I'm going to finish erasing out this piece, just like that. Round that off. Okay. We're going to have to come back in here and just patch up this section here. Okay. Right, now we've got the core in. So let's go on ahead and stand up. Oh, everybody at home, stand up. Stretch. Go on ahead and just stretch it out. It's actually good because you kind of want to stand up anyway and kind of pop your neck, shake your hands out. As an artist, you've got to be very, very, very careful of your drawing hand. And obviously, you don't want to overstress it or anything like that. So, I even recommend do some twists like that. And we'll go on ahead and just walk around the office real quick. Walking around the office. Get some blood flowing back into the lower extremities because you've been sitting for so long. There we go. And shake everything out. Move your L square back over to your desk. All right. Ah, man. It's a good time for you to go to the bathroom. And there we go. All right. We can take a quick break there, and that sounds like a great thing. And everybody can take their time, and we'll come back on this design here in a second. All right. Now, this inner core, what we're going to do with it is we're going to make it into a gradient. So I'm going to select everything, and then Control-Shift-I is the easiest way to do that. And we're going to take our gradient tool, which is this guy right here. We're going to check our gradient in. What we really want is this, but we want it in sort of this gray-green. But I'm going to take this green and make it darker, like that. And that way, when we do the gradient, it looks like this. And all we got to do is line it up so that it goes all the way down. Which is harder than it looks, but that's all right. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to brighten it back up. I could do this with levels, which ended up way over there. The problem with having 50 screens is we can brighten it up this way, but I really want that dramatic, so I'm going to brighten it up like this, and then shrink it down more. There we go. Now this guy is also going to have a glow. So we're going to make him glow as well. We're just trying to kind of dink with it until I get what I'm looking for here. There we go. Okay, now that we've done that, we have the basic design right here. So we're going to take this guy, right? We're actually going to go in here and zotch some of these guys. There we go. Now, when you have contiguous, it only floods to the point where the lines are. When you turn off contiguous, it captures everything. So like I can see now the inside here, I've got some gaps. But without the contiguous on, I can actually, welcome back, I can actually capture even inside the coil. So I've turned off, for those of you who are missing, contiguous, which is this switch right here. And this allows me then to do this, which is what I'm going to do here. We're going to take the paint bucket tool and we're going to bring in a very dark-ish green. I'm going to do, we're going to undo that, Control-Shift-I, and then do this. Okay, what we've ended up now with is no longer an outline, but just the ship's lights and core, and then this greenish thing. This section of the bell is inverted, so we're going to have to worry about that in a different way. But one of the things we can do here is set this as one side of our lighting, and this as the other side of our lighting, or as very deep green as we can get. Right? And then we'll do back what we did before with the gradient. So we'll go in with the gradient tool, and this time we're going to do a straight gradient, this, and we're going to go like this and see what happens. Right? Go from one end of the bell to the other. And we're just going to get sort of a nice gradient going this way. And we want to see how this line is coming out like this and going out that way? We actually want it to be through the core, to highlight the outside of this ship. So I'm going to hit Control-H, which is to hide. The selection's still there. If I try to paint anything, you can see I won't cross into that area out there. So the selection's still here, but I can see the edge, or I don't have the ants crawling along, which is really difficult to make this, to see where we are on this particular guy. So we've sort of done this outline here, and that gives us a hull outline that we can kind of see. But the nice thing is we can already still see a lot of the coil pieces because of the lighting on this. So we're going to go on ahead, and I'm going to let that stay, but I really do like the idea of maybe going even deeper into the black, like right down to the very, very bottom line there, and take this gradient tool like that, right? That looks pretty wicked. You can still see the edge of everything here, and all of it looks pretty cool, but for the most part, it's just black. Maybe a little bit darker even on the green, so that the hull is black on black, or at least that's the feeling you're really getting on this, right? It's more like this black on black. Feeling like it's not going all the way down to black. There we go. That's what we're after. Because then we just want the top part to be slightly highlit, right? Then we're going to do the bell, right? The bell is a different critter. So now we'll hit D for deselect, right? And what we've got now is like these antennas sticking out the top. They actually are looking like something, right? So we're going to do that real quick. We've done a deselect on this, so I'm going to go back in here again. And this time I'm going to turn on masking, which is a special, unique thing where we have this switch right here where we turn on masking, and that allows us to mask a zone. So if we were to take anything at this point in time that's red, is going to be masked. So once I put a mask on, I'm actually going to switch to a different way of doing the mask. Anything drawn on here, like if I do this, I'm drawing in the mask. So that's very useful for this. So we're going to deselect everything, select all, and hit delete. That now has deleted the existing mask that was in there, and now I'm able to put in a mask that fits the bell, right? People wonder what quick masking is for. This is what quick masking is for. It's for putting in this bell. That's all it was designed for. Right. Go in here now with a bucket fill and fill like that. And then just come back over and clean the mask up. this. And what we're going to do with this, once we get this mask on here that we like, this is rapid prototyping a ship. Ooh, it's too much. Once again, too much, but I think I'm going to just come back in and repair it with the brush. So, there we go. We'll come back in, just make sure we trim back to right there. Okay, now we've got the inside of the bell. When I turn off the rapid masking, you can see it has simply masked with the selection tool what I've got there. So I'm going to take the gradient tool and we're going to go the other direction. Right? Once you do the other direction, then it's much, no, see, you can go this way and we're coming from the bottom up. If I hide that, now you can see the inside of the bell here and the outside of the bell there, and that gives a nice shape to it. Okay, so I'll deselect that. Now we've got the shape of the vehicle without needing to put in all of the lines and things like that we had before. So now what I'm going to do is decide what we're going to paint the ship with, what brush we're going to paint the ship with. Right, we got like these concept brushes, splatter brushes, and things like that that make for an interesting effect. What I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to take this rough, I like this rough right here, and we're going to paint along the bottom with it like this, but we're not going to do that right away. We're going to kind of go in here with this. First things first, we actually want to select the ship. So we're going to go in here and select the ship, and then Control-Shift-I. Major reason we're doing this, and then we're going to hide that. Major reason is because when we come in here with the, oops, undo that move. When we come in here with the brush, we want to be able to brush on the bottom side of the ship like this without going outside of its range, so to speak. Right, so here we go. We're going to come in here, and I'm just going to come along the bottom. See how it's giving it a pattern to this that looks really rough and kind of, it's giving sort of a distinct hull pattern that looks very roughish and like it's, you know, kind of had seen better days. Come along the bottom here and do that. Alright. We're going to go along the underside of, and actually maybe what I should do, take this black layer and drop it down a little so I can see through it. But I want to leave it up enough that I can kind of get a grasp of what's going on, right? But I need to be able to see. Don't do that. That's not the one we want. We want this layer right here. That's not our layer either. That's our layer. Well, we're having issues, aren't we? Where's our layer? So here is a trick for finding your layer. What layer are you on, guy? Take the select tool right here and you click it. What is going on with you today? Let's unhide so we can make sure we see stuff. Okay, we are on the correct layer here. Okay. Sometimes I think I'm overloading poor Photoshop. I feel like I am. I think we're having some issues with an overloaded Photoshop. Is the selection inverted? What's going on here? Okay, I'm feeling like I've got a response problem, so I'm going to swap pins. Okay. Wow, everything's just opening suddenly. Thanks. Got no pin control. What's going on here, guys? There we go. We're back. Now we're having a problem with brush control. Man, we really are having problems. Okay. You're not watching the monitor. This is part of the problem. You're watching me sit here arguing with a monitor. Okay. There we go. Now we'll come back in here and we'll just lightly touch through this area. This is becoming a problem because we're having a real issue with Photoshop not responding suddenly. As Photoshop is a major hog, what we're going to do is this. We're going to close that. We're going to close this. In fact, I think we can pretty much close all of Clip Studio Paint and discard all the changes. And that'll free up some of our memory, but I think we're having memory problems. Okay. Phone call made you have to reboot. I hate that. Okay, now that we've done that, let's come in here and just try to clean up some of this. Wait, no, this isn't cool, dude. Now our guide is under here. Just a small amount. It's going to tell me where. Dang it. Man, Photoshop is just chugging. I believe that I have learned in the past that we can't really run Photoshop that well during the show. And I think this is why. And it's sad because Photoshop is just such a resources hog that I think we're having a real problem with this. Kind of a bummer. That makes total sense. Okay, so we'll flip colors. I'll try to rattle this out one last time, and it's not doing any of my instructions. But sadly, in fact, it's waiting for the next instruction to give me control of the machine. Wow. We have something is chewing up all of my instructions here. Hang on. Photoshop. I am shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Shocked to find out that Photoshop is chewing up everything. We're just going to dump. There we go. That should give me a little bit more space. And Skype. Why is Skype running? I don't need Skype. And Discord is running. I don't need Discord. And the Steam client is running. There are an awful lot of things that I do not need that are running. There we go. And Steam restarted. And Steam restarted. I guess Steam is not one you can kill. Okay. That should give me some more space and room to do stuff here. Alright, we should be able to do stuff now. And we aren't. Okay, now we're getting better. Still not working. Okay, well, we're getting closer here. And what we're doing is coming up with sort of the basic design here. So we're going to then put a new layer in. And now we're going to do the inside coils. The inside of the coils are are some kind of interesting like a, let's go ahead and just select in here. Oh man, we are determined. There we go. This is where we turn off contiguous because we need this. Boy, we are just not operating today, are we? Holy crap. Okay, click. We were trying to use our mouse, but that's clearly not working. Or trying to use our pen, but we're clearly not getting anywhere on that. There we go. Oops. Okay, so we got the outside of this somehow. I wanna... Is there a line break? There must be a line break, but we're gonna go out here real quick. The thing we're going to do with this is we're going to do some kind of lush green. Right, and I'm going to have to kill this side right over here because I don't need that. Oh, it's leaking from there. I see. I'm just going to get this little piece right here. There we go. And the inside of this is the sort of a greenhouse area of this. That's exactly right. So it's being lit up by this coil going through the middle of it, or this light going through the center coil. we're just going to take this and we're just going to put in all kinds of stuff. But first, I'm going to take this guy here and then Control Shift I him so that we've got him sort of in a nicer array here. Hopefully, we can get some sort of operation going with this. Sort of here like that. We take it and kind of do this, and right, we get some kind of pattern going for it. Kind of like this. We'll just do some yellows and some greens. Just gonna kind of, because we're just trying to show an idea and a concept here of what's going on. And so a few reds, a little bit there, a little bit up there, like that, down here, a little bit over here, and some darker greens on top of that. Kind of looking like a Jackson Pollock painting. I'll fix that in a second, don't worry. Alright. Okay. All that's doing is giving the implication something's going on inside there. Alright, so we're going to come back through. We're going to get some of this. We're going to get a better brush. It's more like a bare tree brush, grass texture brush. Those are kind of fun. Leaf brushes. Alright, we're not going to do that. We're going to go up here with just our normal base units. We can do that, and then go in here and just kind of clean it up a little. Just kind of, so it's not quite as straight up this texture, because we don't want it to be just this. I mean, that's all we're going to see. Now we'll go in with a different brush. I do like these foliage brushes, like these noise scatter brushes. Just kind of scatter some noise in here. I feel like this guy's not getting anywhere. There we go. I'm just putting dots. This is, I could go through and draw all the trees and everything like that, but that would just take forever. And we've got a short amount of time to do this guy in. And a leaf brush. Leave me alone. Which can give the impression of actual, like, something else going on up here. We're just making it heavier down here so that it looks a little bit more like it's a roundish texture, right? I mean, we want it to kind of look like they've got a lot more stuff going on at the tops and the bottoms of all of these cores. And so we're just going to give it more like this. And just putting in some highlights. These brushes are really, really useful to just do this. And this is exactly what this brush is useful for. Right now it looks like it's got hydroponics in there. Right? Some kind of plants are growing inside this core. Right? I mean, but it's probably underneath a dome of some sort that we can't readily see. Right? And in fact, kind of wanting to add kind of the effect of that. So we're going ahead and add a layer. And just put in some kind of that's not what I want this. Just some kind of structures holding this stuff up, right? I mean, it's like not too far. Right? These like random structures just holding the coil out to where it's supposed to be. Right? And then I'm going to come back in here, and I really kind of like these ink splat sort of things, you know, like where you're splatting ink, although that's not what we're looking for. But it's cute. Like a freckles brush is really great for these things. You can come in here and just kind of give that impression that it's freckles. But what we're actually going to use this for is to implicate a certain amount of pittedness to the undercore of the ship. Right? Now when we take this and bring this all the way back up, you can see all those lines start to disappear. Oops. That's not the layer we wanted. That's the layer we wanted. This is where the highlight of whatever space is. You know, you can kind of see that highlight there. Once again, select everything out here, and then make sure it never crosses really that line. Because we've got a few dots that are out in the middle of nowhere out there, and we want to make sure that they don't cross over the line and interrupt our ship design here. All right. See you later, Donald. It was good having you here. Goodbye. I bid you well. No dee-doo-doo. All right, so we're just going to go in here and I'm going to go back in here with just my normal pressure and flow. We're going to capture just the bottom side of this. So once again, grab the whole ship, turn off contiguous so that I grab all the inside pieces too. And then we're going to add a new layer. And on this new layer, we're going to Control-Shift-I, and we're just going to do highlights in here. We're going to highlight some of this right under here. Right, just like that. And we'll hide this so that I don't see it, because I don't want to. We're just going to just giving some highlight to the outside edge of the ship. Right. And we take a look at it here and just kind of like highlight some of the pieces of the ship that should be like a little bit highlighted, highlit. The outside structure up here. There we go, just like that. We're going to get the bottom side of this a little bit right back there. Just kind of give structural feeling to the whole ship. I think that sounded like a cat or a kid knocking something over. Hopefully both are okay. Me hoping that they're not dead. So there we go. Also on the hydroponics layer, which is normally, if we had time, I would have, there's the hydroponics layer, would have identified all of these layers and typed them all in. But we don't have time. This has got to be a fast design. So the ship is coming up quickly and trying to come up in a fast way. So there's the core. And there are the lights. Like that. And this will allow me to do a couple of things I've been wanting to do when we come in here and a little closer here, right? We're going to kind of kill some of these lights in this building and then put them back in. And this time I'm going to put them in using the soft pressure size pen. And we're going to bring it down a little so that it's not quite so large. Same thing here. This is a massive structure, a lot of lights. Like that. Now that structure. Hey Raph, how you doing, bro? Long time no see. Yeah, this is a Starship prototype that I'm doing here. And so we're just kind of moving along here and kind of doing all these bits and pieces on it. So I'm kind of going in and I'm just cleaning up the glow on it because some of this stuff just didn't come out like I wanted it to. Like this guy doesn't look as neat as I want him to. I kind of want him to. Yeah. Let's try to use the right brush for the right job, huh? So we'll do a hard pressure size. Undo. For a hard pressure size, I'm not getting a lot of pressure out of this guy. So I'm going to use some of my comic inks. I've got a dot that lives on a different layer, as if to taunt me. So, a lot of what's going on here, I'm just trying to kind of get around this design here. I can actually just end that. That'd be fine. Oh man, I'm having some serious problems trying to control this pen. Photoshop is being difficult on me. One could argue it might not even be Photoshop. Might just be me that's difficult. In fact, I think that, Raph, you would argue that is the case, in fact. Undo. Okay, you're starting to make me mad here. It's like I've got intermittent pressure on my pens here. Very strange. There we go. There we go. Well, yesterday I had to trim early because I was helping my kid with homework, and so I had to stop the show early. So it might have said that I was on, but I wasn't, and that was why. So now I'm going to do one more layer. I'm going to do a really light green, like very, very light, right up here towards the yellow green almost. I'm going to actually head to the lab processing and go here, because this is really what I'm after. We're going to come back in on this outer edge here, and we're just going to define the shape. Apparently we're going to define it very brightly. But I really want this to show as much of this, like there's a highlight behind here. I'm going to leave it really white right now, but we're going to go in and color dodge it in a second. Either way, I appreciate that you're on right now, my friend. Man, I really missed the core a lot on all of these, didn't I? I like how this ship just vanishes out there. That's nice. There we go. This guy we're just going to overlay. And that's going to give it a nice effect. Like that. I'm going to make it look like it's glowing when it gets near the lines that are close to the side of the... like that. There we go. Now we need some up here, which isn't going to show much, but I can at least do things like this. Well, maybe I shouldn't do it like that. There. Giving it sort of a feel that it's got striations going across the bell, like that, and that gives it a nice, interesting effect. There we go. And this helps define that these are roundish. There we go. On here. Just like that. There. It's starting to look pretty badass. Okay. Now the one thing I want to make sure of is turn off contiguous, select the whole ship, and make sure every line is keeping in here inside the ship, including what I just created. You can see a whole bunch of it just vanished out of there, including the core. Ha 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 ha. Let's not use the core. In fact, we'll skip core. Right, like this guy. And this guy. You may be asking yourself, Raph, why is Guy not using masking and just hiding this like Control H would do and then using it when painting? And that's because I had some major chug out earlier today where it was just like it was not working and nothing was working, and I was like, what's going on with you? What is your problem? So, okay. Now the last thing I want to do is add some offset red lights because that's kind of weird looking and strange. So we're going to do that. We're going to hit some offset red lights here. Like right here. Right there. You're not doing anything, are you? Because I'm on my overlay layer. A new layer. Red light. Right? Red light. Red light. Red light. Red light. Red light. And this gives some variation in color to it that'll be interesting and make it just kind of strange. Like, I don't know what's going on. Is this antenna continuing out like that? What's going on with that antenna? Right? We'll put a red light up here. Can I not draw? Oh, we've got deselect. Put a red light right there. And there. And right here. And there. And that'll give these guys then will be a glow as well. Right? Put a blending option into outer glow. And instead of being green, they're going to be red. Right? There we go. That's kind of a wild looking spaceship, isn't it now? Be kind of intimidating to run into in space. We'll put one last touch on here, which will help a lot. We're going to go through, I got to do this over here because I can't see. I've got, out of my art drive, I keep all the time, shared resources, and I have an attack cat, as one always has as an attack cat, right? Sounds like a thing. Marker patterns, no. Formatting, no. Templates. Okay, I don't have it in this. This is the thing I'm going to have to realize I have to do. It looks like Christmas. It is Christmas. Maybe it's Christmas. And you just didn't know. It's the Christmas ship. Let's see here. So, we're going to go out to my outer drive. We need one thing. Shared resources. Feel like I'm missing a folder, which is not good. And I am missing a folder. So we've had a reboot on the computer, and that has dropped some stuff here, I can tell, and that's not good. So let's do a quick search before I panic. And we'll do a quick search here. This is not a good sign. It's doing the search now, and what I'm looking for is my original star patterns are all in a folder called stars, and I made them with a program that you can't use anymore. I made them a long time ago, like 25 years ago, and I love these stars. They were the perfect stars, and I'm worried that I may have accidentally destroyed them, that folder, which would be very, very unpleasant. That would not be one of my top 10 best things here. So looking through here, I can't find my stars folder. It's probably still okay. But I'm worried that I may have lost my stars folder. That's going to be a bummer. Okay. So we'll pick up just a random star background for right now. Something with stars in it so that I can use that for this picture, because we do need to get going on this picture. I only have about 6 minutes left before lunch, so we're going to do that real quickly. I'm just going to quickly run out on the web and pick up one of the Hubble pictures. I'm just going to not do that. Let's see. I'm going to run out onto the web and pick up a Hubble picture. Here we go. It does look pretty cool, though. Somewhat sinister Christmas. There we go. We'll just grab one of these pictures that Hubble has picked up as something that will be useful in this particular thing. Like, I love the Hubble scattered star pictures, where they, where it's captured a ton of just cute stars, cool stars, really nifty, you know. I feel like this is too small though, so let's go ahead and get a larger setting. Settings, tools, size, large. There we go. 1280 by 649 is good. When it loads. Some gravitational lensing. We don't need that. Although gravitational lensing is fascinating. I'm just saying. This one just looks like a bunch of galaxies. There we go. We'll snag this guy. Or we won't. Boy, I am having some real problems downloading things. Having problems with my computer all the way across the board. Hey, Chief. My cat's here. He's in charge of everything. Because he's a kitten, and kittens are in charge of everything. They just don't know it. Whew, that took way too much effort. Okay, back with you guys. Let's open. And we'll sort by... This is so exciting, I'm sure. Date. I feel like it didn't save it in time. Oh, it's freaking out about my ad blocker. That's nice. Come on. That's because I saved it to the wrong place. There we go. Okay. Now we've got it. Or do we? Okay. This is not going to help its Christmassy effect. There we go. There we go. We'll get some of those Hubble stars will disappear there. All right. Cool. Now we've got ourselves sort of a ship on a background. And what I will do actually to help mitigate a lot of the brightness on this is I'll add a black layer on top here and I'll just drop it down. Right, or put sort of a multiply, or let's see, color dodge is cool. Overlay, no. We want it to be sort of a, well, normal, I guess is where it's going to be. So, we've got stars, we've got a ship, it all looks good. We're going to save, and we're going to call this guy done. There we go. It took the entire show for me to just find a good Hubble picture. That's kind of sad. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me today and enjoying my show. And I will see you all tomorrow. We've got more work to do all over the place. And it's good to see you, Raph. I hope you can join me again. And so until then, keep your eyes on the stars.